Hey guys, welcome to an episode of Fish Midwest. I'm your host, John B. In today's video, I'm going to be doing part 2 of the cold water hustle. For those of you guys that saw part 1, you guys know I covered day 1 and 2, which were pretty low and slow, a cumulative amount of 3 fish only, which is pretty low, but considering the conditions, isn't bad. So in this video, I'm going to go over mostly day 3 and a little bit of day 4. Day 3 was one of my most productive days for those of you who have followed me on Instagram and Facebook. While the film and fish were superb on day 3, I did have some trouble capturing that good audio. The wind was in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range, and while it was very warm, that warm weather really churned some stuff up and created for a difficult time capturing that good audio on my external and internal mic on my camera. So while what you're about to see is some pretty good footage, I may have to narrate here and there just to kind of cover over some of that very, very loud wind. And I'll be putting subtitles below on most of the clips as well, so it's going to make it a little bit easier for you guys to understand what I'm saying over the wind, and it's going to make the video more enjoyable for you guys at home. Day 3 back out on Lake X in central Ohio, and today's the day that I get my limit. 2 days ago I got 1 fish, 3 bites. Yesterday I got 3 bites, 2 fish in a consistent area, and I'm back at that area. And I got a southern wind, so I've got this whole place to myself. I don't have to worry about boat position. I can feel my bites now. There's 20 mile per hour winds right now, and you could hardly even tell. If I were to go over there and show you some of the winds, it's borderline whitecaps over here, but the southern wind is positioned perfectly right now as to where I can fish this deep water, the only deep water in this lake. I'm gonna put a hurting on him. Wear my Max Tackle jersey. I got confidence. Got the John Deere hat. Had this hat for just about ever. Even Jimmy Houston signed it. Thanks, Jimmy. But not here today. And oh boy, I feel it. Just popped this one right here on the fall. Fishing these laydowns. I just broke off about a 4 or 5 pounder. I just got this absolute chunk. You know, the key right now is kind of sticking close to these laydowns, deep water. There's a little bit of chunk rock right next to it, and it's producing the fish caught on the Powell Infernal. Check that out. Beautiful, beautiful largemouth. Back in the water she goes. Stay tuned. First fish. So like I was saying earlier, I had a fish on before that probably went near 5 pounds. It was pulling drag, really giving me what for. And as soon as I got it near the boat, she took me under. Dipped my rod too far under the boat. She got wrapped up in the front anchor, and I've got to have these anchors down if I want to maintain my position and stay where these fish are located at. Now, the very intriguing part about this fish is to hit it on the fall, and you'll get that a lot in the colder water. Most people think that they're going to kind of wait for the bait to move a little bit, but sometimes it's that initial drop that gets those fish going, and I must have hit it right up on the head, right in that brush pile, and although it was very shallow, it created a lot of structure for that fish, and it was creating a habitat for that fish to relate to and kind of look for when searching for crawdads and minnows right before the water starts to really heat up. You know, I started this day very confident that I was going to get 5 fish. Regardless, I was going to do everything in my willpower to get that 5 fish limit. I was sick of getting that, 1 or 2 bites in one area, and I really wanted to focus on getting my limit, and that's something I hadn't done in the past 2 days. So this first fish was the beginning of the limit, and this was a good one to get for my first keeper. Number 2, off another laydown. I don't think I got that on camera either. Pretty slow with camera draw, but another one, a 3-inch stick bait. Another laydown. Good little fish, good little fish. Every bite counts when you're out in this cold water. I'm trying to get 5 today. This is the closest I've come to getting 5 in a short amount of time. This is the second fish of the day right here. Deepers now, we're getting 39 degree water temp, so things are starting to warm up. Stay tuned. I fished the laydown a little bit more with little to no success. few pickups here and there, but nothing significant. Then I moved down to the west side of the dam. Now, the west side of the dam is a little bit more shallower, but it's got bigger rock. It goes from chunk rock to boulders. And I thought maybe this would be a good idea. You know, it's shallow water, but there's some boulders. And that last fish that I caught came out of pretty shallow water, about 4 to 3 feet of water. So it's nothing like crazy, crazy shallow. Feels like a pretty decent fish. Oh yeah, that's good. That's a good one. Nothing huge, but it's nice bass. Whew. Nice fish. Real nice fish. Caught on the Yum Dinger. I'm gonna change the camera angle real quick. It's 12:38. That's 2 fish within about 20 minutes. I had to abandon that spot though. I decided to fish chunk rock. Only like my 3rd cast, not a bad fish to get on there. I actually saw that fish right on the deeper. I just put the deeper on, and as soon as I throw it in there, I dropped down, and I was like, what are the chances this fish hits it? Sure enough, she grabbed onto it. About 1.75 pounds. Get back in the business to get some more. Nice bass. I fished this whole dam for the most part, deep and shallow, and I gotta change my game up. And that's very important when bass fishing. You have to change your game. You have to not stick with what you think is the pattern, but maybe try something else that you don't think the pattern is, because that thing that you don't think the pattern is may be the key and the goal into getting those 5 bites for the day. So I did something very unorthodox. I went into shallow water. I kept a very, very close eye on my iPad, which I had connected to my deeper, and my iPad was reading 39 in the morning, 39 degrees Fahrenheit water temperature in the morning. And I looked at that, and I noticed when I got to the other end of the dam, it was 41 to 40 degrees in some areas. And I thought, that's a pretty decent spike. I mean, we're changing numbers here. You know, maybe only a few degrees, but that can make all the difference, especially in the springtime. So the plan was, after I finished that deep water pattern on the dam, I made a beeline to this area where there's very old docks and pipes and just a bunch of assortment of junk in the water. But it's old junk, and it's been there since the lake has kind of really progressed over the years, and it's a standing ecosystem that these fish have gotten used to over a course of about a decade. That fish right there keeps right at 12 inches. Gonna get a weight for best 5. Need one more. I like to call this fish out too. Quarters pound. Nothing huge, but it's 4 back in the water. I was here for the spot for about an hour, just continuously picking fish off this dock. It was crazy. You know, 4 to 5 feet of water, and I'm pulling fish left and right in 40-degree water temperature. So I thought to myself, you know, I'm getting a lot of fish here, and I've filled out my limit, of course, but I want a bigger bite here. You know, I can stay here all day and fish this stretch and get a lot of little bites, but I'm looking for that kicker, and that's the key. You kind of have to get your limit, look for the kicker. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go about looking for your limit. That's just the one that I kind of like going for. Very, very difficult. It requires a lot of patience. So I get to the second dock and I'm fishing the dinger and I'm getting nothing. It's a desert. I'm just kind of working this thing like how I like to, because I got my back facing the wind now, and I'm dragging it too, and there's just nothing there. So I'm confused. I'm scratching my head thinking, what's the deal? They were just biting on this about 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. So I was like, okay, listen, John, put it down, work something else. You told yourself earlier that you're going to fish with something different. So I put it down, sure enough. and I go over to the back of the boat where I got a Max Tackle spinnerbait tied up. It's a double willow leaf 3/8 ounce Max Tackle spinnerbait, and this is one of my favorite colors. It's a white, blue, silver, I don't know, it's just got a combination of a lot of great colors, and it's one of my favorite colors right next to chartreuse and white. And the key in that bait was the big double willow leaves, and that will really create a lot of action, especially on a sunny day when the water's a little bit murky, and it'll grab the fish's attention. I thought maybe they want something a little bit faster. So I get that Max Tackle spinnerbait, I throw it adjacent to the dock, and I start slow rolling it in with my 13 Fishing Concept day, and I'm just kind of really slow rolling it. And I'm like, come on, I know you're there. Boom, first cast, get a real nice bite, boat flip it in, and I'm looking at this fish like, awesome, I can bump one of my little dinkers that I caught before on that old dock decrepit stretch over there. So I add that one into my weight, throw it back, get another cast back in there. I'm super pumped. I'm like, okay, maybe there's a second one. You know, these fish this time of year, they'll come clustered. You know, they'll come in packs. And I start reeling in, boom, another bite. Little one, about a pound. It doesn't help me, but it's still cool back-to-back catches.
That's incredible. I can't believe that. Water takes forever. I'm still rolling for spinnerbaits. Long dock that fish wanted it.
No, I can really thank those two fish because they kind of helped me stray away from that Yum Dinger bite. It was a good bite for a while, but I was able to pick up some bigger fish on a little bit faster technique, that being the spinnerbait. And the spinnerbait really never fails for me in the springtime. It's one of those lures that work in cold, warm, you know, moderate temperature water, and it's just an all-around springtime fish catching machine. So at this point, I'm thinking, awesome, I'm gonna have a day full of spinnerbait fish. Forget the Yum Dinger bite, I'm gonna fish reaction. I love fishing reaction. Who doesn't? I mean, it's a great way to get those good, fast bites and put some bigger fish in the boat. So I put the Yum Dinger rod in the back, the spinning rod in the back, and I've got the Max Tackle in the front. I go up to the second dock over, which is one of my favorite docks, not my favorite, but one of my favorite docks, and I start throwing the spinnerbait. I'm super pumped. I'm like, all right, awesome, they're gonna hit it. You know, 1 cast, 2 casts, 3 casts, 4 casts, nothing. It was just dead. And I'm thinking, oh, come on, you know, I mean, you guys just said no to the dinger and you said yes to the spinnerbait. What are you gonna say, no to the spinnerbait now? So I was like, okay, just, you know there's fish here. You know there's fish on these docks because they're moving up. The water's starting to warm up and they're gonna be here for a little bit. So you gotta take time. You can't just keep throwing the spinnerbait in an area where they don't want it. So I, you know, was very reluctant, but I threw the Max Tackle down, picked up the Yum Dinger, first cast in there, I get another fish that calls my other one. I'm like, what in the world do these fish want? You know, do they want slow moving 3-inch worms, or do they want a faster approach with a bigger, bulkier bait? to be close to me. I'll get it. I'm sorry, folks, these fish aren't big. Something about catching these fish. It's 37 fish yesterday. Now it's 40. It's just something about these are so much fun. Check that out. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Look at that bass. First cast in there. Oh my God, the fishing is hot. This water temp warmed up a matter of 3 degrees, and the fishing is unreal. I'm pumped, man. It's been cold. It's been nasty. I finally got a day out in the water and I'm fishing. Nice fish. Not every single bass is the same. You've got different bass that prefer different food sources, especially in an area where the food source is very diverse. You've got crawdads, bluegill, crappie, trout. I mean, you've got all these food sources in an area, and you don't necessarily know which one they really want, and they're gonna want certain food sources at different times. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, those fish on the end of that dock, that windy pointed dock, were keen on maybe bluegill because that's the main forage in that lake. And maybe on this one, they were keen on crawdads because there's a little bit more rocks in the area. So I kind of had to be versatile. I had to really pay close attention to little changes in the area. And that really enveloped into a good pattern for me. It was almost like a pattern within a pattern. I knew that they were on this area, but I had to pay close attention to that secondary structure. And what I mean by secondary structure is what's with the dock or what's with the rocks. You know, you've got a dock there, and you know the dock fishing is great for using jigs and sometimes spinner baits and shaky heads and things like that. But what if there's a lay down on the end of the dock? Or what if there's riprap that kind of encloses the dock? What do you throw then? And you kind of have to change up your game plan. Very close-minded, these fish. You know, I'm trying to be open-minded with them, but these fish are being very close-minded and very picky, and they wanted a certain bait in a certain area presented a certain way, and that's what you kind of have to get used to in this cold water. And it's something that I've been able to learn a lot fishing up north in Illinois and Ohio and some areas of Indiana as well, is you have to be not so reluctant to kind of cater to these fish. I mean, you think about it yourself. Let's say you're at a restaurant and you get a burger, and person that gives you the burger puts 2 meat patties on top of a bun, and you're just kind of looking there scratching your head like, well, this is what I ordered, this is not a burger. Well, you know, the person says it's basically a burger, it's got the same ingredients, but it's not presented in the way that you like it, and you kind of have to compare that with largemouth. So just a heads up, AP Bassin and I did go fishing over Easter weekend, but it was pretty bad. We got skunked on Shabbonall Lake after they stocked 304-pound smallmouth. I know, we're absolutely terrible anglers, but the water temp was pretty cold. It was in the mid-low 40s, and I hadn't fished that lake in quite some time, and given that we were only able to fish that lake for about 4 to 5 hours, we weren't allowed enough time to figure out a pattern. So we didn't get a whole lot of footage. I did get some kind of goofy stuff on video. I'm not sure if I'll post it or not, but if it is, I'll let you guys know. Another thing too, I've posted a Riot Baits Fuzzy Bee review. If you guys have never seen that lure or checked it out before, go ahead and click this link right here and check out our review. I'm not affiliated with Riot Baits at all. I just kind of have been following them on Facebook for quite some time, and they've got a very unique beaver style bait, and they finally came to Tagaroa, so I picked up a few and decided to review them on Lake X. So if you guys are interested in the video, click on my left shoulder and check that out. Be sure to follow the Fishing Midwest Facebook and Instagram page in the link below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time on the next episode of Fishing in the Midwest.